Let's build a Bibble 5 catalog by importing some images, and in the process, I'll explain the various options that affect asset management in Bibble 5. I'll select the folder I want to import from the file browser in Bibble 5's File System tab. Right-click on the folder name, then select Import Folder. That will reveal this Import Images dialog, with options on how and where to import these images, how to organize them, what to name the files and folders being imported, and a keywords field that will apply to all the images being imported. The Import Action selection is first, with options to move or copy the files into the library, refer to original locations, and refer to original files. If you hover over this drop-down, it will explain a bit about what each of these options does. The Move and Copy options are very similar. They either move or copy the files you are importing into the library location that you'll select below. In other words, these options put the image files themselves into the library. Refer to original locations does not move or copy the image files at all. Instead, it will create folders that match the folder structure you are importing from, and maintains a link between the images and folders you import and where these are stored on your computer. This means that if you move or copy or rename files or folders in Bibble, the same changes will also be made to the actual files and folders on your computer. The Refer to Original Files is a little different. It allows you to reorganize the files and folders that are being imported, and does not force the folders in Bibble to always match the folders on your computer. This allows you a little more freedom, but using this option can also make finding your images on your computer a little less straightforward. So what does that all mean? Which one should you choose? The Move and Copy options allow you to create self-contained catalogs, where the catalog folder contains everything needed to open, edit, and output your images. This makes backup and archiving simple, as there is only one folder to archive that contains everything it needs. Refer to Original Locations is ideal if you already have a well-organized folder structure on your computer, and you want to use that same structure in Bibble 5. Moving things in Bibble will also make those same changes to the underlying folders on your computer, so it's always easy to find your images, either in Bibble or on your computer. Refer to Original Files is a bit more flexible, but also can be more complicated. It allows you to do things in Bibble that can't be done directly in the file system, like making virtual copies of images in many folders at once. And because it doesn't require the folders in Bibble to match the underlying folders that hold your images on your computer, you can change or make new folders in Bibble to organize your images without changing the underlying folders on your computer. We'll look at examples of catalogs built with these various options a bit later. For now, let's keep looking over the other import options. Library Location allows you to choose which catalogs to import to, and what folder in that catalog to use as the root or starting point when importing. Click this button to select a different catalog or a different folder in a catalog. Next is Organize By, again with some helpful reminders of what the various option means when you hover over the drop-down. There are three options: Original Folders, which reproduces in Bibble 5 the folders you are importing from; Single Folder, which puts all the images you are importing into a single folder instead of recreating the existing folders in Bibble 5; and lastly, Metadata Folders, which allows you to create entirely new folder structure in Bibble using the metadata found in your original images, like date or timestamps. Note that the Import Action selection affects how you organize your images. If you import with Refer to Original Locations, that implies that you want to organize by original folders. So the Organize By selection is disabled, and Bibble will do this for you automatically. If you select one of the other import actions, you can then change the Organize By selection to whatever you want. Selecting metadata folders also enables the folder template field, where you can type in a folder naming scheme. The one shown here will create a top-level folder for each year the images you imported were shot, and then subfolders for each year, month, and day the images were taken. You can add as many levels of folders as you need, and more details on the folder naming options are listed in the help files that come with Bibble 5. The Rename Files options will be disabled unless you are moving or copying the files into your catalog. If it's disabled, Bibble will use the original file name. Finally, there's a field where you can enter keywords that you want to apply to all the images being imported. When you're ready to import, hit OK, and Bibble will start importing the images you've selected. You can monitor the import progress here, and you'll also notice that Bibble is building previews for all the images that it's importing. Let's take a look at a couple more importing examples to see how the different import options work. Starting from a fresh install of Bibble 5 with nothing imported yet, you can see that Bibble starts out with one default catalog called Bibble Catalog 2009. We'll import into this catalog first. Switch to the File System tab to find the images you want to import. We'll use this group of images in the Austin folder. You can see that there is some organization to the subfolders in here, but the other folders are a little more messy, with several layers of unnecessary subfolders. We can clean all that up with the import options we choose. Right-click the folder you want to import, and select Import Folders. That brings up the Import Images window that we saw earlier. This time I'll select Copy into the library, and I'll use the default catalog that's already chosen. Now, I'm going to organize by metadata folders to have Bibble 5 clean up that messy folder structure that we were looking at earlier. I'm not going to rename the files as I import them, and let's add a keyword to all these images. Make sure the recurse option is set, and then click OK. Bibble will first build a list of all the files that you've chosen to import, in this case a little under 7,000, then we'll begin to import them. It will also build previews as the images are being imported. Click the Library tab and you can see that the folders are starting to be added to our catalog as the images are being imported. Let's do one more import while this one is going. Back to the File System tab, you can see this folder called Travel. That's the one I'll import this time, but I don't want those in my catalog with the images I shot around Austin. So let's create a new catalog, File, New Catalog, then click Make a New Folder. I'll call it Travel, then click OK. Bibble will create a new empty catalog in that folder. Now, instead of right-clicking on the Travel folder to start the import, I'll show you another way to select the folders you want to import. File, Import Photos from Folder. Just pick the folder you want to import and press OK. Then you'll be back to the now familiar Import Images dialog shown here. This time, let's import by referring to original locations. This won't make copies of our images like the last import did. Rather, it just tells Bibble to link to existing folders and images. Let's change the library location to the new travel catalog we just made. Choosing Refer to Original Locations disables several options here, as you need to use the original folder and file names when importing by referring to original locations. Finally, let's add a second keyword to these images and then click OK to start the import process. The first import is progressing well, and the second one is added to the list. The first one will take a little longer, as I asked Bibble to copy the original image files into the catalog, and for that set of images, that's about 50 gigabytes of data. That brings up an important difference between the Move and Copy import options and the Refer import options. Moving and copying duplicates your images, meaning that the import will take longer and you will need more disk space on the disk drive that holds your catalog. This is a great option if you are importing images from a memory card and want to copy them to your hard drive as you import them. Referring to either original locations or original files needs very little extra disk space, and as such, is usually a lot faster, so this can be a better option if the images you're importing are already on your computer. So that's a quick look at how to import images into Bibble 5 catalogs, how to make new catalogs, and the various options that control the import process. Stay tuned for more from the Bibble 5 Learning Center.